You know what B2B marketers do. Anything you want to do. Hey, should we use this color or this color? Should we use this text or this text? Should we send them to this landing page or that landing page? I don't know. Let's A/B test it. The answer that everyone puts through. And so what I see, both on the content and the creative side, is I see people over-analyzing quantitative data, under-analyzing qualitative data. The second piece is that they spend so much time analyzing stuff that it prevents them from moving forward and actually making stuff, like actually producing. And so I want to give people a couple examples, like in my content, for instance. If I did the analysis like a lot of B2B SaaS companies do on my content post every day, I would put out a post like I did yesterday, because I didn't have one today. Put out a post like I did yesterday, and I would look at the likes or the reach and be like, and that would be the main determiner of whether or not the post was successful. Or I would have like a UTM type of tracking link in there, and I would track stuff. But if you actually understood the dynamics of the LinkedIn platform, you would know that a lot of the dynamics that impact reach and things have nothing to do with the content. It has nothing to do with the actual message. The headline in the video, the top bar that you see on mine, matters a ton. The first line of text that I use matters a ton. The actual body copy and how long it is matters a ton. What time I posted at, what day I posted at, whether somebody that has a lot of followers comments on it in the first hour. All of those things will impact reach and engagement, and it has nothing to do with the actual content, which can lead people to think that certain things are better than they are. And so what I've been recommending to people and what we need to get to is looking at a lot more qualitative indicators in the content and being able to understand your customers well enough that you can move without data all the time, that you can keep producing, that you can keep going. And they run A/B tests to collect meaningless data for the sake of testing things. And what we should be doing instead is we should be testing themes, messages, like overall just making stuff. And I say testing, but it's literally just build a lot of stuff, run it, let the data and the qualitative tell you what to do, and then just keep going. I feel like people need such a perfect answer about what to do next, and marketing just isn't like that. It's really the art that drives marketing. I know a lot of vendors want to make it seem like it's just one big math equation. But there's a ton of ways to win. You can do paid Facebook, you can do paid LinkedIn, you can make a podcast, you can do events, you can run direct mail. There's a ton of different ways to win. And then inside of each of those tactics, there's a million different ways that you can approach it. We need to get back to a place where we can be creative, where we can try things that make us a little bit scared, that we know what we think may not work. We need to be able to do a lot of those things. And I recognize that in some companies and many companies, marketing isn't put in a position to be able to do that. But from a content and creative side, the main take home I want to get is that this is understand customers and then move, and then use data as it comes to optimize the strategy. But I feel like what we're in is a little bit of a start and stop. Do something, stop and analyze for whatever, 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, and then do something else, and then stop and analyze. And it needs to be a little bit more, I think the best practice would be a lot more fluid. I'll pause there and see if people have any questions or we want to go in a different direction on this topic.
I think there's a lot of comments around what are meaningless things to test, what could be valuable things to test. You touched on this a little bit, but it might be good to kind of clarify a little bit, like what are things that people should just not even worry about A/B testing and should just move on from, and then reinforcing, I think, some of the things that are worth testing, maybe not in that A/B format, but the messages and themes. And so like what are the most meaningless things that you see people testing that they should just stop doing?
I mean, it's not even really like meaningless stuff. It's the idea that like just because one piece of content got more clicks or more likes doesn't mean that it was more effective, doesn't mean that it helped your buyer learn something better, didn't guarantee that it meant that it moved them forward more in a buying process. We need to start to unlearn outdated B2B marketing principles. like in social, where what we need to do is, whether it's paid or organic, because I want people to look at it and then click on my link where I have UTMs, where they go to my landing page and then they scroll down and they fill out my form. So I have perfect tracking and everything. Like it's Google SEM, like 2009. And it's just taken Google's strategy from Google and then moved it into social without thinking about, do we need to have a different strategy here? And so I'm trying to help people unlearn some of the core principles. Like when people interview me and ask me, they say like, so you're just driving traffic to the website. And I'm like, no, that's not what I'm doing. Like it does result in some website traffic, but the goal is to put the content in the feed where it gets natively consumed, where the message gets consumed. And so the goal is not to drive website traffic from paid social ads, at least for me. Some people might think that. It's that all of my target accounts know more than they did yesterday about our product or our category. Optimizing for website visits, I think, is something that people need to unlearn, especially when you think about tracking. The next one, interesting enough, is UTM tracking. Yes, you should be using UTMs. I'm not telling that you shouldn't, but that you need them in all cases, I think, is something that's an outdated principle. That all advertising needs to be direct response, AKA, like if I'm going to buy this ad, I need to have someone convert so that I can have $50. I can have a lead where I can go back to the CFO and say, I got a lead from LinkedIn. Here's the UTMs. We just need to think a little bit differently inside of B2B. I'll go back to what I was talking about before, which comes down to my content and another example here. So if I have content and one of them is about like deep, detailed, account-based strategies, and I post that on LinkedIn and it only gets 200 likes. And then I post something else that says marketing takes time. And then that one gets 1,000 likes. Which post was better? Nobody knows. Nobody knows which one was better, because one single touch point, one single campaign does not make or break the difference in these strategies. It's the accumulation of when people have seen 200 of my LinkedIn posts. They don't remember post 163, but it was the accumulation over time that brought them to post 200, which led them to convert. And so just because something got more likes or more reach or something in organic, or got more clicks or better click-through rate in paid, doesn't mean that it was necessarily more effective. The ABM one, or the account-based strategy one that I posted, could have been a more effective post. It just resonated with less people because it was a more specific topic. And so this is when we think about like what is worth it and not worth it to A/B test in social. Like I think that there's actually like not that much to test. I think that the framework of A/B testing, like one thing against another, we should shift, and it should be, we're going to put out things that we think is high quality work and high quality messages, and we're going to collect feedback and data, qualitative and quantitative, to make decisions about where to go on an ongoing basis. And so I get a lot of the stuff from the questions that we get here, the comments, the messages that I get, people that share my post. I post, sometimes some of my posts get shared 50 times in a post. And I'll go in there and look at the copy that somebody else writes when they share my post. How are they sharing it with somebody else? Do they understand what I was saying? And so these are the details and nuances that B2B marketers never look at.